What's up, guys? Mischief Magus here. We're on the last two planets now. I want to go into Jupiter. So, the last planet that we covered was Mars. Mars is the piece of shit douchebag, excessively hot bastard who burns you to a crisp and ruins things because of his excessive heat. As we know, Mars and Saturn are the malefics. We'll get into the big boy, Jupiter, the greater benefic. Just like Venus, he is a benefic, except in grander portions and sizes. Where Venus controls and rules small stuff like that are good things, like, and this isn't all she rules, but just as an example, she rules like good looking clothes, art, pleasurable stuff to the senses like sex and all that stuff. Good things. Children also, wives, virgins, all that good stuff. Jupiter rules like big stuff. Like, for example, I want to say like spirituality, law, like big things that are typically good. They are the things that the benefics do, and the things that they rule. They cover stuff that is naturally good, things that are tempered and are pleasant. The reason for this is because the ancients claimed that Venus is temperately cold and moist, Jupiter is temperately hot and moist. The key is their temperance and also their moisture. Now, we're not going to look up and say, oh, Jupiter's a big bubble of moisture. The way how they assign this is, well, to be honest, I don't know. But that's how they explain it, and that's what I'm sticking with because it works. Maybe I'll go into it with you someday. I have to find the places where it goes into why. But anyway, Jupiter is the big boy, and he's the greater benefic. In the old days, I just wanted to kind of run through this with you. In the old days, I believe they used to think that Zeus and Phaeton, which are the names of Jupiter, he was the king of kings. Like, he was God, and he was the one god, what they call Jove, where you get the word jovial. All of them come from the word Jupiter, and they mean, happiness. Jolly Jove. What do you think Jupiter means? He means miserable. Nah, that's Saturn's job. Jupiter's happy. And he's just a good overall, he would embody a good person. That's what he represents. Good things. So, can't remember what I was saying. But we'll just go down the list. By day, and this is day house. This is day sign, excuse me. Sagittarius, his fire sign. And his feminine nocturnal sign is Pisces. They get into the whole day and night sign things. It's not like if he's in day, he doesn't rule the night. The night sign, they're the same. They're ruled by Jupiter, either way. It's just both the sun and the moon have one sign, Leo and Cancer. All the other planets have a masculine and a feminine sign. That's about it. Signs of his detriment are Virgo and Gemini, because they directly oppose Sagittarius and Pisces. He's exalted in Cancer. Most people my age will probably have Cancer with Jupiter in it. Some not, but whatever. His fall is in Capricorn, being directly opposite his exaltation. He rules the fire triplicity by night. We'll go over the triplicities at some other point. I'm just determined to get these videos out. I know you people are probably really interested in these, hopefully. Before I go into the nature of Jupiter, he rules a bunch of other stuff too. Like, he rules storms. Some would say the sea, but I think that's more of the moon. Like I said, I really should be brushing up on a lot of the old stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I'm reading on here, this is really like beyond preschool level stuff in terms of traditional magic. Like Jupiter ruling, amethysts, lapis, topaz, and what's the stuff that I use? Juniper berries. This is all super basic stuff. I say these things because it's easy to keep track of, and it's easy to slap together a nice little altar to call the planet that you want to invoke. It's easy, but it's not. So, yeah. We'll go into the nature of Jupiter. Now, even though Jupiter is moist, because so far the two other planets that are moist are feminine, so Venus and the Moon. Jupiter is also moist, but he's hot, making him... It's weird because just because you're hot doesn't make you a masculine planet, and just because you're moist does not make you a feminine planet. It's interesting how they work with these things, and I haven't made a video talking about the temperaments. There's hot, cold, wet, and dry. And then you blend them together in two, and you create the personality of the planet, basically. Jupiter's nature is masculine, diurnal, hot, moist, airy, and sanguine. The greater benefic, author of temperance, modesty, sobriety, and justice. Good things. But it's not like that absolute evil justice where you're a cop and you go around killing homeless people. That's not justice. You're just an asshole. Justice would be like, oh, someone raped my baby, and we're going to kill him. Or, put him in jail for 500,000 years, or whatever. Whatever justice would be. It's not my job to determine that's the justice, literally the justice's jobs. Hopefully they do a better job with some of their sentences. But in an ideal world, Jupiter would be sitting and say, you go to jail forever, hopefully you rot in misery and suffer for your stupidity. People signified, here we go. Judges, senators, counselors, I'm not going to spell this word, bishops, priests, ministers, cardinals, chancellors, doctors of civil law, young scholars and students in a university or college, lawyers, clothiers, and woolen drapers. Again, ideally. I know a lot of shitheads in governments, which are supposed to be stuff that Jupiter rules, that are just true assholes and they just ruin everything. I'm sure I'm looking at a few of you right now watching this. Don't put me on a blacklist. Seriously, this stuff makes sense. Anyway, in an ideal world, Jupiter would be a judge and wholly placed perhaps in Sagittarius or Pisces. Pisces isn't really one of those lawful things. It's a water sign, kind of ebbs and flows. We'll get into that spiritually stuff. But Sagittarius, I would say, you would make a good judge. Other places, like for cardinals and stuff, just basically priests, although Sun can also rule priests too, so there's a little bit of convergence there. Anatomy and illnesses. This stuff's important, I think, and again, go through these things just to give you an idea of what Jupiter represents. I know a lot of you guys like to talk about the signs, but in the real world, we talk about planets ruling things, and the signs are the backdrops. I'm not trying to be an asshole, it's just that's how it works. Sorry. All infirmities in the liver, the left ear, I hate these words I can't pronounce. Inflammation of the lungs, palpitations and trembling of the heart, cramps, pain in the backbone, all diseases lying in the vein or ribs, and proceeding from corruption of blood. Squinsies. I have squinsies. Can you help? What the fuck is squinsies? Well, whatever. He rules that, apparently. Windiness. All putrefaction in the blood, or fevers proceeding from too great abundance thereof. Again, this can be stemmed back to the whole idea of being benefic, or having a lot of something. So, I want to go... There's so much crap to go over, guys. Just as an example for Jupiter's abundance. In mundane, which is arguably the hardest, most pain-in-the-ass school of astrology you can ever get into, when you look at Jupiter in a chart in mundane, which is how astrology affects our world now, like what's happening now, he can represent stuff like an abundance of crops or an abundance of rain, which may lead to an abundance of crops, which may decrease the price of food and on some level. It's interesting how that works. And then conversely, Saturn represents scarcity. He would make the prices go up because there's not a lot of them. It's really, really interesting stuff. And to be honest, I haven't even scratched the surface with mundane. Maybe someday we'll get into it together and I might read some stuff with you. I have a book on it. It's very, very complicated. I mean, like, if this seems complicated to you, you have not seen anything yet. Again, I'm pretty much a novice. So those are some of the illnesses that Jupiter has. I just thought the great abundance thereof from fevers seemed interesting and worth mentioning, because as nice as Jupiter is, I mean, he can still be badly placed just like any other planet, and he can still fuck up things. Interestingly enough, Jupiter's the kind of guy where if you put him in Pisces, oh, he's great. But if you put him in, and he does things that he promises. That's the idea of putting a planet in domicile or exaltation. You put it in a place where a planet is happy and it can do the things that the planet represents. Good things. If you put Jupiter in Virgo, Jupiter wants to do good. And I'm not saying this on behalf of Jupiter, he really does want to do good, but it's like a guy who walks through a house trying to carry all the groceries at once. I got it, I'm doing really good. And he trips over the dog and like all of this shit just spills on the floor and ruins your carpet. That's the idea. I'm doing it, I'm really helping. And it just fucks it all up. It doesn't mean to, it just does not work because the skill set that he has is not given to him properly through the sign, for example, Gemini or Virgo, that he is in. And there are reasons for that. Just super quick, Jupiter is one of those higher-minded kind of things, law, spirituality, versus the sign of the planet that represents Virgo, Mercury, who rules sciencey things like alchemy, and dissecting things and meticulously analyzing things, arithmetic. That's not spiritual. See what I mean? So, and this is stuff that I've learned. Colors and savors governs sweet or well-scented odors, or odors where the smell is in no way extreme or offensive. So your farts, not a Jupiter incense. Farts could be an incense for Saturn. I mean, if you like want to stick a stick in your fart juice and like let it dry out. Ah, yes, perfectly disgusting. I mean, I'm sure someone somewhere did that at some point. Or you literally stick like a stick in your shit and then burn your shit. Probably might work for Saturn. He rules all the nasty smells. But personally, don't do that. It's gross. Just do pine or something for Saturn. For Jupiter, I use vanilla. I haven't been able to find mastic anywhere, which is what he rules. And there's no mint incense. At least not the I don't want artificial incense. Don't do artificial incense. Do the real thing if you can. Or grind it up, and maybe we'll do a lesson or something on making incense. It's easy as hell. Just get some charcoal tablets, blend it all together, and burn it. Just don't burn your house down. Anyway, offensive odors, Saturn. Pleasing odors, sweet odors, such as, I would say, amber or vanilla, or mastic or mint. Good choices for Jupiter. They're not offensive. They're very pleasing. Colors are sea green or blue, purple, ash color, or a mixed yellow and green. Again, I think a mixed yellow and green also works with Mercury, and it also slightly works with the Sun. But I would argue more Mercury because of, and the Sun too, because of paradots. Because peridot is a yellow-green stone. But Jupiter's pretty agreeable. 2 colors that I would recommend, well, actually 3 colors. Sea green's awesome. I also recommend blue, deep, dark, like royal blues, and not that crappy, like SeaWorld dolphin tank blue. It's like rusty colored. Ugh. Don't do that. Make it an elegant, good color. And also purple, because purple was a sign of royalty back in the old days when they had to wring squids out of that elusive purple ink. I know they didn't do that, but that's what I think of when I think of why Jupiter likes purple. Blue's good. I would recommend royal blue. Or any kind of blue, except for that ugly dolphin SeaWorld color. Herbs, trees, and plants. He rules cloves and clove sugar, mace, nutmeg, gillyflower, the strawberry. Here we are, strawberries again, because we talked about that with Venus. Maybe it's one of the benefic plants, I don't know. The herb balsam, betony, centauri, flax, lungwort, walwort, oregano. Oh, I didn't know that. Or wild marjoram. Mercury also rules marjoram, just so you know. And it smells like Vicks. It's pretty overpowering. I don't like it. Rhubarb, self-heal, wheat. Venus rules wheat too. See, this is what I'm saying. Some of the lists, they go over each other. When I get into the complete herbal, I'm literally going to read some plants, and I'm just going to read why Culpeper thinks that they belong. So there's reasons why they do belong to certain planets. But I'm not going to get into that now because it's going to be long and probably boring. Just heads up. Hopefully you'll stick with me by then. He rules cherry trees, birch trees, mulberry trees, saffron, mint, licorice, peony, basil. A lot of plants, as you can see. The ivy, but I think ivy is ruled by Saturn. Poison ivy. Olives also ruled by Venus. There's a ton of plants here. I personally recommend juniper berries and oak. Oak's good. I have a partially oak and ash wand because originally I only had my two talismans, the sun and the moon. Worth a try. Juniper berries, I always think are good. They smell great, and they have a small bit of tin in them, which is also Jupiter's metal because of its temperance, and it used to be used to somehow stave off diseases. I don't know how. Anyway, places. Jupiter delights in or near altars of churches, in public conventions. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Synods? I don't know. Convocations, in places neat, sweet, in wardrobes, courts of justice, and oratories. Pretty cool, huh? Minerals and stones. Tin, there's that tin. Amethyst, the sapphire, the emerald, hyacinth, topaz, crystals, bezoars, marbles, and freestone. Don't know what freestone is. I would also argue you could use lapis. I use lapis and I use amethyst because, oh yeah, I'll just lay $1,000 for a couple topazes. If you can, cool. I use, Cleus gems because I'm not a millionaire. Anyway, we'll go into the statures and just the way that he represents things. Physical description offered. He signifies an upright, straight, and tall stature, brown, ruddy, and lovely complexion, of an oval or long visage, and it full or fleshy, high forehead, large gray eyes, his hair soft and a kind of auburn brown, much beard, a deep, large belly, strong proportioned thighs and legs, his feet long, being the most indecent parts of his whole body. Whoops! And, so that's about it. He's just basically one of those guys that he's just big. He's a big guy. So that's kind of what I think. And that's also what the description would be. Manners when well dignified. Magnanimous, faithful, bashful, aspiring, in an honorable way at high matters. In all actions, a lover of fair dealing, desiring to benefit all men, doing glorious things, honorable. Basically, this guy is literally like Superman. But he's not like invincible. He's just, the best way I can describe it is he's a spiritual man, but he's also honorable and upright, and he's lawful, and he tries to uphold the law in the best way that he can. That's what Jupiter at his best aspires to be. Now we get to hear what he's like when he's a shitter. When Jupiter is unfortunate, then he wastes his patrimony, suffers everyone to cozen him, is hypocritically religious, tenacious, and stiff in maintaining false tenets in religion. He's ignorant, careless, nothing delightful in the love of his friends, of a gross, dull capacity, abasing himself in all companies, crouching and stooping where no necessity is. So again, when we talk about the domiciles and rulerships of planets, it's at their very best. These are the signs that the planets are happiest and can perform. Let's say you're really good at sports and you excel. Those are your gifts. You're given, supreme athletic ability. That's like a Mars thing. And probably a Mercury thing because it's like it relates to your hands too and your hand-eye coordination. But anyway, just as an example. And let's say that you were forced to be in like a classroom of musicians. You think that's going to work? it would be kind of like that. That's kind of the idea of it. So if you put Jupiter in, for example, let's say Gemini. Gemini is kind of like, it's ruled by Mercury. It's like the exact opposite of what Jupiter represents. So the stuff that he has, he's not going to be able to fulfill, ideally. I know a lot of you out there have, mismatched stuff. So do I. I mean, I have Scorpio moon and Mars in Virgo, which is just, and Venus in Virgo. Nobody gets everything. But the idea is to remember that you have certain things that can work for you. Those are the things you want to work with. The whole idea of this magic is to work with what you've been given and stay away from the shitty stuff that you've been given. Because again, nobody gets everything. Anyway, that's Jupiter. So, kind of ran out of humor, but I think Jupiter is one of the cooler planets, and I'm sure everybody probably does. And then we'll get into Saturn. All right, that's it.